I hope everybody is enjoying the discussion I'm having with my friend about Bitcoin. There will be two final parts which I will release today and tomorrow. In the meantime, I thought I would put together a quick video discussing some thoughts I've had recently regarding human nature and our never-ending search to create gold out of lead, which is really just a metaphor for the never-ending search for easy wealth. I've been seeing many videos lately on numerous topics, such as house flipping, infinite banking, network marketing, cryptos, you name it. Although they are all disparate, there is a common thread in the tone and delivery that each is an easy path to wealth. A way to convert lead into gold, so to say. I thought I might read a section of Charles Mackay's legendary book, Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds, and then talk a little bit about the lure of easy wealth. Here goes. Dissatisfaction with his lot seems to be the characteristic of man in all ages and climates. So far, however, from being an evil, as at first might be supposed, it has been the great civilizer of our race, and has tended, more than anything else, to raise us above the condition of the brutes. But the same discontent which has been the source of all improvement has been the parent of no small progeny of follies and absurdities. To trace these latter is our present object. Vast as the subject appears, it is easily reducible within such limits as I will make it comprehensive without being wearisome, and render its study both instructive and amusing. Three causes especially have excited the discontent of mankind, and by impelling us to seek for remedies for the irredeemable, have bewildered us in a maze of madness and error. These are death, toil, and ignorance of the future, the doom of man upon this sphere, and for which he shows his antipathy by his love of life, his longing for abundance, and his craving curiosity to pierce the secrets of the days to come. The first has led many to imagine that they might find a means to avoid death, or failing in this, that they might nevertheless so prolong existence as to reckon it by centuries instead of units. From this sprang the search, so long continued and still pursued, for the elixir vitae, or water of life, which has led thousands to pretend to it and millions to believe in it. From the second sprang the search for the Philosophers Stone, which was to create plenty by changing all metals into gold, and from the third, the false sciences of astrology, divination, and their divisions of necromancy, chimography, augury, and with all their train of signs, portents, and omens. In tracing the career of erring philosophers, or the willful cheats who have encouraged and preyed upon the credulity of mankind, it will simplify and elucidate the subject if we divide it into three classes. The first comprising alchemists, or those in general who have devoted themselves to the discovering of the Philosopher's Stone and the water of life. The second comprising astrologers, necromancers, sorcerers, geomancers, and all those who pretended to discover futurity, and the third consisting of the dealers in charms, amulets, philters, universal panacea mongers, touchers for the evil, seventh sons of a seventh son, sympathetic powder compounders, homeopathists, animal magnetizers, and all of the motley tribe of quacks, empirics, and charlatans. But in narrating the career of such men, it will be found that many of them united several or all of the functions just mentioned, that the alchemist was the fortune-teller, or a necromancer, that he pretended to cure all maladies by touch or charm, and to work miracles of every kind. In the dark and early ages of the European history, this is more especially the case. Even as we advance to a more recent period, we shall find great difficulty in separating the characters. The alchemist seldom confined himself strictly to his pretended science, the sorcerer and necromancer to theirs, or the medical charlatan to his. Beginning with alchemy, some confusion of these classes is unavoidable, but the ground will be clear for us as we advance. Let us not, in the pride of our superior knowledge, turn with contempt from the follies of our predecessors. The study of the errors into which great minds have fallen in the pursuit of truth can never be uninstructive. As the man looks back to the days of his childhood and to his youth, and recalls to his mind the strange notions and false opinions that swayed his actions at that time, that he may wonder at them, so should society, for its edification, look back at the opinions which governed the ages fled. He is but a superficial thinker who would despise and refuse to hear of them merely because they are absurd. No man is so wise but that he may learn some wisdom from his past errors, either of thought or action, and no society has made such advances as to be capable of no improvement from the retrospect of its folly and credulity. And not only is such a study instructive, he who reads for amusement will only find no chapter in which the annals of human history more amusing than this. It opens out the whole realm of fiction, the wild, the fantastic, and the wonderful, and all of the immense variety of things that are not and cannot be, but that have been imagined and believed. Mackay then goes on to discuss the famous historical alchemists. These accounts I do not need to narrate because the main points are already made. In reflecting on this passage, I reflect back on my own life. Over the span of my working career, I have put much study into various theories of building wealth. In retrospect, I wasted much productive time studying alchemy. Not real alchemy, mind you, but figurative alchemy. I wanted to find the secrets to building wealth quickly. Most of the time, when I found a new method, I would start by eagerly devouring material, learning everything that I could. Inevitably, I would find the fatal flaw in each idea before I committed any capital to it. But a funny thing happened as I was abandoning one idea after another. I became wealthy. You see, there are no guaranteed routes to quick wealth. If there were, everyone would be rich. And, of course, if everyone is rich, then no one is rich. That's just the way it works. Wealth building is a process. It's a simple process, but it's not easy. I say simple because the tried and true methods are easy to understand. I say not easy because few will be able to do so. The Philosopher's Stone a person should seek is not one that turns lead into gold, but that turns the human traits of desire and impulsiveness into thrift and patience. This is the alchemy that you need to discover for yourself, and it will make you wealthy over time. Time and good habits are the key ingredients to building a hoard of gold, or whatever else it is that you define personally as your wealth. There will always be ideas that come along which promise shortcuts to riches. Some may seem so compelling that a person will adopt the idea with such zeal that most of his or her wealth will be committed to it. There may be some early signs of rapid progress towards the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, which will make a person more confident that he or she has discovered the Philosopher's Stone. This will lead a person to commit ever more capital to the idea. But every time I encounter these ideas, I think about the nature of geometric returns. I once put out a video titled Probability Blindness and Valuations in a World of Green and Red. In this video, I discovered a game where a person didn't really know the rules, but could watch others play the game, and then decide when the time was right to either play or not play. A person watched as green and red marbles were pulled out of a sack. Each time a green marble was pulled, the player's wealth increased by a moderate and consistent amount. Each time a red marble was pulled, the player's wealth decreased by a small and consistent amount. As the game was observed, it became more and more evident that the sack contained more green marbles than red, and the longer the game was played, the more confident the observer became in the relative frequency of a positive outcome versus a negative outcome. It looked like a guaranteed path to riches, and so the observer decided to start playing. At first, the results were quite satisfactory, making the observer glad to have started playing. But then the unexpected happened. A black marble was pulled from the stack, and 100% of the player's wealth was given to everyone who remained observers. This black marble represents the rare event that has catastrophic consequences. Without a very long experience window, it is impossible to know that it's there, but eventually it will make its presence known. The horrible significance of the black marble is a total loss of capital. There is no way to keep playing a game once all of the capital is gone, no way of coming back. Such is the nature of geometric returns. A string of multiplications with a zero in it is always zero. It doesn't matter what the other numbers are. I have become a wait in the parlor kind of guy, a watcher, an observer. When I watch others getting wealthy playing a game of chance, I root for them. It's fun seeing people win. I have to admit that those who play the game and gloat or cast derision on those who choose not to step up to the table do annoy me. But some people are like that, especially if they haven't had long enough of a life experience to know what it's like to have their head handed to them. It's the risk of being beheaded that keeps me away from the table. I'm comfortable with the small fortune that I've amassed, and I aim to keep it. And so back to the Philosopher's Stone. Why, after the passage of so many centuries, is the thought of the Philosopher's Stone so attractive to the human psyche? Why do we never recognize it when it appears in all of its various forms? I don't know the answer to these questions, but I do know what I've experienced and observed in my own lifetime. I've witnessed people successful for a time building wealth in collectibles such as Beanie Babies and Cabbage Patch Dolls, and then express disappointment with the end result. I've seen people make lots of money and then lose almost all of it in the countless internet stocks that appeared in the late 90s. I've seen people boast about getting rich in leveraged real estate right before the crash in the latter portion of the 2000s. I've seen people euphoric about the riches that they were building in silver leading up to the crash in 2011. All of these events had things in common. Those who participated found that they were successful for a while. Many ended up committing themselves further as the price action confirmed their beliefs. Quite a few bragged about their successes and even went so far as to deride those who weren't on board. And in the end, they all drew the black marble. The key element to making gold out of lead is not secret chemicals or incarnations. The key element is time. Find a few solid things that have a long track record of success. Spread out your wealth. Spend significantly less than you earn. And avoid the black marble. One day, you will find yourself quite wealthy. The Philosopher's Stone does exist. It's simple, but it's not easy.